So I'm joined here by Dan Lewis. Dan, can you just quickly introduce yourself? Tell me a bit about you and what you do.
Yes, I'm a former player here at Coventry Rugby, and I now work in the media department here.
Perfect. And you mentioned there, former player here. Can you just talk to me a bit about your journey growing up to becoming a rugby player here at Coventry?
Yeah, so I always played rugby growing up from a pretty rugby family, and then, as I left school, I had a contract out in France, and I played there, and then came back to the UK, played at other sort of UK-based clubs like Bedford Blues, Cambridge, before signing here at Coventry for sort of 3.5 very, very happy years.
Yeah, and then can you please just go into a bit more detail about those 3.5 years at Coventry? Any key moments that stand out to you, any highlights, and how much you enjoyed your time here as a player?
Yeah, I loved it. It was a really interesting period for the club. They'd just come into the Championship, and then for me, I was sort of really getting to grips with full-time professional rugby. I did a lot of learning off some really great players, and really good people, and coaches as well. And yeah, played a lot of rugby, whether it was here or on loan. But yeah, really enjoyed those few years.
Perfect. And then obviously you mentioned what you do now, your media role at Coventry. I know there's a bit of a transition from being a player here to then the role you're in now. Can you just talk to me a bit about that transition?
It was actually something that Coventry Rugby, probably led from the top with Nick Johnson and John Sharp are really big on is prepping their players for life after rugby. I was always very aware that rugby was going to be a short career, whether that was through choice or an injury or whatever it was. And then for me, I just had another itch to scratch, really. I always felt like there was other things I wanted to be doing as well. So I actually started to get into the media side of things on my own before getting the opportunity to come and do that sort of stuff professionally here at the club, while sort of still playing semi-professionally elsewhere.
Yeah, and then I know you mentioned obviously rugby's been something you've been big on growing up, but you mentioned a bit about there you got into the media, but has that also been something you've always had an interest in, or was it during your time at Cov, during what sort of started that career for you in the media industry?
I think media's always sort of subconsciously been an interest, and then it was only in those playing years at Coventry where I wanted to fill my sort of free time with something. That began with writing a blog about the sort of unspoken about topics within sport. That then turned into a YouTube and asking the analysts team how to start video editing and learning that particular skill, and it just sort of snowballed from there. And I actually realised I've got quite a keen interest in content creation, and can that be used then for promotion and working for a club like Coventry.
So you've been here nearly 3 years in the media role. Is there anything you take away, any highlights for you in that time?
Plenty of highlights, plenty of sort of memories of projects, but I think the biggest thing that I take away from it is I kind of think when you're playing, you just kind of assume that you train during the week and you turn up on a Saturday and there's a ready-made audience and crowd coming to the game, and that isn't how things work at all. It actually takes tireless effort from a lot of people that care a lot about the club to create that interest and bring people to the matches. So I think the biggest thing that I took away from it, and probably still take away from it, is what is the point of what you're creating and what you're putting out to the world. So it was a big learning curve, but something that's been very useful to learn.
Yeah, and then it was announced recently that you're moving on to other things, still media related, but have you got any sort of final messages to the club as you depart in the next few days?
Well, to the club, it would be a massive thank you. Like I said, they really sort of took a chance on me and gave me the opportunity to develop professionally. A message to the outside world would be to sort of, if you can do the same here, do it. Whether that's as a player, this is quite a unique environment where you can develop as a rugby player, and then it will also give the opportunity to develop as a professional, because that transition, whether you plan it or not, whether you like it or not, is coming. So my final message would be I've loved every second here as a player, and as a member of staff here. But yeah, a big thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dan.
No, thank you very much.